What's up guys, it's Matt. This is part 5 of where I go more in depth into how to use candlesticks as a technical trader. So for those that haven't watched the previous 4 parts, I will provide a link down in the description of this video so that you could check them out before watching this one. And if you find this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet subscribed. And so now let's talk a little bit more about candlesticks and how they close and why this can be potentially important. And so in front of you, you can see a random example that I drew of price action simply fluctuating within a range. Now, the one thing that I'm sure will stand out to a lot of you right away is this candle all the way here on the right. So this bullish candle. And the reason why this one stands out is that we can clearly see that not only is it much larger than all of these previous candles within this range, but also if we look at where it closed compared to the previous candlestick closes, we see that it closed significantly above this range and significantly above the previous candle closes. And not only did it close above the previous candle closes, but it also closed above all of these previous highs. And so this is one clue that can show us that there's perhaps a lot of buyer pressure since the buyers are attempting to close the price and continue pushing it much higher outside of this range. And this is only this one candlestick. If we look at the previous price action, we can form even more clues as to how much buyer pressure there is compared to how much seller pressure there is. And that's where if we look at this previous bullish candle, so this one over here, you might notice that although this high that was formed is pretty much the same as the previous highs, notice how this candle closed significantly above the previous candle closes. Now, it's not a huge difference, but a difference like this can still be a clue to show us that there's a little bit more buyer pressure that's starting to form. In addition to, if we look at these candlesticks and how they closed over here, they closed significantly higher compared to these previous candlesticks. And so this is where essentially you would get a higher low, and now we're forming a higher high. And another thing that I wanted to point out about this range is that if we compare all the previous bullish candles and how they formed starting from the left side all the way to the right side, and we do the same for the bearish candles, then starting from the left, we can see that inside of this range, in the beginning, when we had these bullish candles, notice how it essentially took 4 of these candles. So this might be the 1 hour chart that we're looking at. So essentially this would have taken 4 hours for us to move from the bottom of this range all the way to the top of this range. And then when it comes to these bearish candles here on the left side, it only took 2 bearish candles to move price action from the top of this range back down to the bottom of this range. And then if we continue further, the next portion where price action moved back from the bottom to the top only took 3 bullish candles, and they're essentially larger in size compared to these bullish candles. But then when price action moved back down, it took 3 bearish candles for us to move from the top of this range to the bottom of this range. And these candles on average are smaller compared to these candles on the left. Now, I understand that these are minor details, but slowly over time, if we notice these gradual changes within a range or within a trend, then these are clues to us as to how much seller pressure there is compared to how much buyer pressure there is. Notice now how these next bullish candles are even larger in size, and at this point it only took us 2 bullish candles to move to the upside across this entire range. And as I previously mentioned, this bullish candle closed significantly above these previous candle closes. And then at this point, this is where we had 4 consecutive bearish candles, but this is where they were much smaller in size and they weren't able to push price action all the way down to the bottom of this range. And so in this example, we have essentially a bullish channel. And so the bullish candles that end up closing higher and higher each time and form higher closes as well, essentially give us a clue that price action is making more progress from the side of the buyers, because the pressure from the side of the buyers is growing over time. And that's because if price action is closing at a higher price each time, well then essentially this shows you that the buyers are growing in strength. They're able to hold price up at these levels despite the candlestick closing after a certain period of time. So if we're still looking at the 1 hour chart, well then what this basically means is that at the end of the hour, in the past, price action did not push any further, but at this point we closed higher at the end of the hour. And in this example, all the way here on the right, if we imagine that this bullish candlestick closes where it does, well then this essentially shows you that the bulls, in a sense, have overpowered the bears, because previously the bears would push the price back down. But since they managed to close all the way up here above all of the previous highs at the end of the hour, this is a sign that there may be a potential continuation from price action. And so this is why if you have trend lines drawn above and below when it comes to a channel, and in this case it's a bullish channel, well then what some traders will look at is they will wait to see if there's a large candle that closes above all of the previous highs. In this case, if we have a bullish channel, and then this would essentially signify there's a greater probable likelihood that we might have either an explosive continuation with a minimal retracement, or we might have some retracement, but at this point the bulls will attempt to overpower the bears, and they are much more likely to succeed. And so this is where we might have a consecutive higher low. So you might have a higher low that drops to the middle of this channel and then continues to the upside. It creates another higher close, another retracement, and then we continue pushing much higher. So essentially we have higher highs and higher lows, or we have a minimal retracement, but there's a quick rejection, and this is where we push to the upside again. Now, I'm not saying that just because you have a bullish candle that closes like this, that doesn't mean that there won't be a potential fake out. So there's more factors that tie into this, and I will explain this more in future videos. And also you might have a situation where you will have an ascending or a descending triangle, which is essentially a similar concept here as to what you'll see in a channel, except the difference is that the top side, so the region where you have resistance, will not change that much. And if it does, you might have minimal differences where the bullish candles close slightly higher each time, but what you'll have is you'll have higher lows that get higher each and every time. And you might even combine this with a rise in the overall volume. So the overall volume might grow as price action pushes higher each time, as well as the candlesticks will typically grow in size and will become more volatile, whereas the bearish candles, in this case, if we have an ascending triangle, so the bearish candles will make less progress each time. And this is where if you have a triangle that keeps accumulating higher and higher each time, eventually you may have a probable breakout that breaks out to the upside and continues within a much more explosive trend. But again, there's much more that goes into this than to simply draw a triangle and to assume that if there's a break, it's going to fly to the moon. But overall, I hope this concept helps. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you dropped a like and let me know down in the comments if you'd like a part 6. And check out my trading community. The links are in the description to the Discord app and the Telegram app. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.